Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TEW2020 video. We're a day late, I apologise for that, stuff has come up and that kind of took away a bit of TW time, but we're back in with it. I don't foresee it being a delay in any other videos. It's a week in game until I get to the next event and have a full weekend to get to that, so we should be firmly back on track for usual schedule. I didn't get as much of the Cruserweight Classic done as I would have liked. The aim was always to get like a 32-man tournament. It's down to 8 and it's on one night. I just felt like, yeah, I just didn't have enough time to book it on the NXT to as much as I wanted to, as in pernickety, because there's going to be 32 people. And the event itself was 2.5 hours and I felt like, do you know what, it's not a takeover. It is more of just a special event, so we'll limit it to the 185 minutes, so no world title match. It is strictly the Cruserweight Classic final that will be our main event this evening. But I'm looking forward to it. It's, I would say, a clash between people that I've sent down to NXT, so there's a few stars that were on Raw and on SmackDown that, yeah, just brutally honestly failed to utilise correctly, or did utilise them well, and recently they haven't been as great. You'll see as it goes on. And I feel like NXT in this competition can relaunch their careers. They'll maybe be down in NXT for like 3-4 months and then back to the main roster. That mixed in with some up and comers, for example like of a Jake Atlas, I think just gives us a good mesh of talent. So as always, thanks for taking the time out to watch the Cruserweight Classic. Next 2 videos will be WWE pay-per-views, and if you want to buy the game, see other people's content etc., usual description below, the best places. For now, this is time for the NXT Cruiserweight Classic 2022. So, 38,362 in attendance at the PNC Park, and that's a pretty good attendance for NXT. Because obviously there isn't a hype package as such for this, we've just got Triple H saying welcome to the Cruiserweight Classic, an opportunity where we give wrestlers under £205 the opportunity to showcase their talents and potentially propel themselves into a matchup for the Cruiserweight Championship. That title is on the line as well tonight as Santos Escobar gets his match against Mustafa Ali, and apart from the tournament we will also see a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship as champion Thunder Rosa defends against Mia Yim and Toni Storm, 2 women who have been on a tear in NXT recently, and this is their big opportunity. So a 74 segment, not great from Triple H or user character, but this is the Cruiserweight Classic. Let's go straight in with a bang for the opening matchup. So first up in is the former Cruiserweight champion, Isaiah Scott, and he says he's looking forward to, destroying the competition, becoming #1 contender and taking back his championship. Doesn't matter if this is a newbie, some guy coming back to the main roster, he's going to dispose of him, so bring on his opponent. The 65 rated segment sees main roster superstar and now NXT star Hikaru Takahashi come down, and with about that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Takahashi defeats Isaiah Scott in 13:43 with the Fisherman's Suplex. A 76, a very good performance. We may see a lot of good matches because obviously Cruiserweight talents tend to bring good matches to the show, and that's reflected in both guys' performances being good and the crowd itself getting hotter. I feel like Takahashi, and I've said it before, that's why I was reluctant to amend any of the loyalty contracts on the likes of Okada, Tanahashi, etc, etc. So I feel like if we run in NXT, we'll maybe get the best out of Takahashi, and when I send him back to the main roster, he should blitz it. Basically going on Raw was not a good decision from myself. Next up, we had another returning superstar. He was sick of NXT UK. NXT have said he's back in real life, so I'm happy to utilise him again. And then about that had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Jordan Devlin defeated Humberto Carrillo, who just seems to job to everyone, whether it be virtually or in real life as well, in 12:13 while using the ropes for leverage. I needed a heel victory here to take on Takahashi in the next round. In the next round. So a 57 win here for Devlin. Carrillo's still young. He's going to get opportunities, but at the moment it's not looking good for him, and he takes the loss in the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic. You can also see as well, because it was so last minute, I haven't even got the kind of bracket thing up. I just felt like that's the 8 guys, that's the way the tournament's going to go. So Devlin picks up the win. Next up, we had the one that had subpar wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, and we had Jake Atlas defeat Drew Gulak in 14:26 with the LGB DDT. 47. Disappointing that the crowd were turned off by both of these guys, that they weren't invested in them, but I feel like this is a good chance to propel Jake Atlas. I feel like it was maybe going to be a clash of styles, submission versus flashiness, but a good one for Atlas, and that's going to give him a really good matchup in the second round. As the final first round matchup saw a good wrestling match with decent reaction from the crowd, worthy of being the final. But back from SmackDown, the former 1 year reign of the IC Championship, that man was Johnny Gargano. He defeats Ricochet in 16:39 by pinfall using underhanded tactics. I don't think the introduction for Gargano was even a sentence, but yeah, he's a former IC champion, had the title belt for a year. He's back in NXT. Could we see Ciampa Gargano again down the line? Probably. But an 81 rated segment here. Good win for Gargano, and that got the crowd hotter as well. So anytime we lose the crowd, knowing that we've got these kind of workers helps. Next up in the second round, securing his place in the final of the Cruiserweight Classic. It was about the decent wrestling, and didn't have much heat, as Hiromu Takahashi defeated Jordan Devlin in 16:21 with the Fisherman's Suplex. So Devlin was always going to do the job here. A 77 win for Takahashi, and I just feel like it's a good opportunity for him straight into the final on the NXT Cruiserweight Classic to make a name for himself in this particular brand, which led the other matchup between Jake Atlas and Johnny Gargano. Poor matchup, 71 rated right enough, so that's pretty good for being poor. But Gargano defeats Jake Atlas in 13:38 with a Heartstone. Good win for Johnny Gargano, a good spotlight for Jake Atlas, but I mean, we can come in against a former Raw superstar, a former SmackDown superstar, and a really good main event. So Gargano versus Takahashi for the NXT Cruiserweight Classic, and of course a chance at the NXT Cruiserweight Championship down the line. That matchup for the Cruiserweight Championship actually drew a 70. It was a poor matchup that saw the champion Mustafa Ali defeat Santos Escobar, who obviously won that number 1 contenders match at our last takeover, in 13:41 with the reverse 450. It was the first defence of the belt for Mustafa Ali. Too early to take the belt off him. A good 70 matchup. I'm quite worried with Escobar. I just can't seem to get him, Mendoza or Wilde over. They're winning all the time, they've got good momentum, but just don't seem to be getting over, and the age is not on Santos Escobar's side either. We'll keep trying, but we may have to give up on that at one point. But a strong Cruiserweight division, Mustafa Ali picks up the victory here, and yeah, just overall delighted with that. The other matchup that was a number 1 contendership match obviously was Jungle Boy will face Sami Callihan. That match will take place at TakeOver on SummerSlam weekend. After the matchup, we do have the compadres of Santos Escobar jumping down to the ring. So him, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza just beat down Mustafa Ali. That was a 39. Then moved on to the women's triple threat match, and it was about that had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, as Thunder Rosa defeats Mia Yim and Toni Storm in 12:14 when Thunder Rosa pinned Mia Yim with a handful of the tights, giving her the second defence of the NXT Women's Championship. Toni was the weak link. We really need to build her up, or she's not particularly over in this, and I don't think she's technically very good in this game, which is a bit worrying. But she's still young enough, plenty of time to develop her. Far more years in NXT than Mia Yim. Mia Yim's one that will probably go to the main roster in the next year or so. Not under a mask, not called Reckoning, not having bizarre instances in Raw. We'll keep her as she is. And yeah, that segment was awful. Bad WWE. But 61 is very good for the women's division in NXT, and yeah, overall really happy with that. We do have a pretty similar segment here, but in this one, Mia Yim's getting beaten down by the champ Thunder Rosa, but who comes to make the save? Former SmackDown Women's Champion, former NXT Women's Champion, she was probably Raw Women's Champion at one point, I can't remember, there's that many belts. Bayley's back in NXT, and she makes the save to chase Thunder Rosa off. So only a 48. As you are well aware, Bayley in this save is not the most over. Her contract expired and I forgot about it. I just couldn't get her over. So she was happy to re-sign pretty quickly, and I thought, we'll take her down to NXT, we'll just give her a really good run in NXT, and if she can come back up to the main roster, she can compete with the likes of the other 4 horsewomen, your Rhea Ripleys and really be like someone that can hopefully challenge that 100 rated matchup that I want to get, both with the men and with the women, over the course of TEW2020. Leads us up to the main event then for the Cruiserweight Classic. Gargano hypes up against Takahashi. He says he's been former IC champion, he's been dominant in NXT before. He knows how good Takahashi is, but he's not going to take, he's winning. He's not taking no for an answer, he's not going to lose, he is winning. He is Johnny. Takeover usually, fair enough, it's not a takeover, but now he's Johnny Classic. So our best promo of the night's the 74, so we really need this match to be good or we might lose Pop. And overall I'm happy with that. About that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Himuro Takahashi defeats Johnny Gargano in 1951 by pinfall with a fisherman's suplex, meaning that Takahashi wins the NXT Cruiserweight Classic. So 75 overall, 81 for Takahashi, 73 for Johnny Gargano. The dirt sheet, what negatives have we got? None, so that's good. It's going to give both guys a new lease of life on NXT. I just feel like Gargano, I was just continually using him as the heel that lost, and he was like ice cold momentum, so we need to build him back up before he goes back to the main roster. I feel as well, at the moment it is going to be Takahashi versus Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight Championship, but don't be surprised if Gargano weasels him way into the match, and maybe somebody else to give us a really kick-ass fatal 4-way. But as far as takeovers going, we are looking likely to see the following matches: Jungle Boy versus Sami Callihan, Mustafa Ali versus Takahashi, possibly versus Gargano versus someone else, and for the NXT Women's Championship we are likely to see Bayley challenge against Thunder Rosa, and for the NXT Championship Zack Sabre Jr. challenge against Tommaso Ciampa. This is a good thing about not booking the television shows in between. I can say these are likely matches, but I'm not booking them on YouTube anyway. So things may change, but that's what I expect to see once we get to TakeOver. Until we get to TakeOver, we are going to see obviously the Raw branded event coming up next, which I can't remember off the top of my head, which isn't good and I'm meant to be booking that. So the Raw branded show, there'll be a SmackDown branded show. I'm probably going to book another WWE show before SummerSlam. Might do something over in the UK, just really utilising the fact that give myself more time as well, but I want to do kind of like throwaway pay-per-views, in the sense of I just want to try combinations of Raw and SmackDown Superstar, and that's when they can congregate, rather than have to put everything in my storyline. It's just like I'm trying this out on pay-per-view and seeing if it works, or on a network special, and then obviously after that we'll take over and then SummerSlam. So looking forward to that. End of the show was just Takahashi celebrating, which was a 73. Show itself 79, which is increased their pop in 15 regions. We're also aided, of course, by the band and by the special set, etc., and the celebrities. Wasn't the highest level I could have put it at, but I felt like we'll just put it at a decent level. NXT seems to bring in about 40 million a month for us, mostly through people buying the network subscriptions. That's where we'll get it. In fact, if I can quickly jump back to the main screen, I'll show you that. But they make a lot of money for that, so I don't mind investing the same in NXT events as I would in a WWE event, just to keep everything up and running, really. And I will say as well, I'm so used to seeing this show. If any of you are aware, I've been doing the holiday sim to try and get the 50-year achievement. I am 4 years off, and I managed to go down the street to my local town. I had an eye test. I went further down the street, I came back up, bought my lunch, came back up the road, had my lunch, and my holiday sim had done October until WrestleMania. So admittedly I'm in 2066 now and 4 years away from where I need to be, but it's getting slow, it's getting tedious. I'm hoping and get it done before the end of November, but that's a live update, literally, because this video will go literally live after I finish recording it and edit it. Well, as much editing as I do, which, as you guys know, is next to none. So 35,000 tuned in to watch Fight for the Fallen. I'll actually have a wee look at what they're doing over at AEW. More so the main event, guys, because a lot of the people here are kind of like new gens that have propped up. You can see like Francis McDonald, Nancy David. You need the people in the game, you know what I mean? It's like FM with new gens. So main event was Cody defending the AEW World title against Hangman. That was in '93. Kenny Omega defeated Flip Gordon to retain the AEW TNT Championship. And with Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho defeat the Best Friends in a ladder match to retain the World Tag Titles. We also had Marco Stunt and whoever Toni Deppin is, I think that's a new gen. And, no, he's real. And they defeated the former Dolph Ziggler now, Nick Nemeth, his real name, and Moose in action. And Darby Allin and FTR defeating Ashton Smith and the Heartbreak Express. I'm wondering, where is Moxley? Can't see him in any of the angles. We'll see Big Swole retains the AEW Women's Championship. That's very surprising not to see Jon Moxley in action anywhere. Is he injured? No, they just haven't been utilising him. That's interesting. If you've got a guy that's a main star, I'd certainly be using him in every event possible, but it is what it is. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to show, just quickly double check here, Daniel Bryan is now dating someone from outside the Victoria Gonzalez has a fractured jaw. It's not ideal, that's going to rule her out for a little bit. Of course, Raquel Gonzalez, fresh off that matchup. I've not seen it, but I've heard her and Rhea Ripley was actually really, really good. So looking forward to that. Let's go look at medical. So she's out for 2 days, that's fine. Tessa Blanchard, we'll get back to that in a second. Another 5 months for Vanessa Bourne, and 5 months and 1 week for Matt Riddle. Tessa Blanchard, yeah, so she basically, she was pregnant with Dagger's child in game. She was on maternity leave, and then she cheated on Dagger while she's pregnant, and she's now with the Velveteen Dream. So expect at one point down the line a power couple of the Velveteen Dream and Tessa Blanchard. When that'll be, well, 2023 in game. So I just need to skip character to Triple H, that's what we want. So as you can see there, Joaquin Wilde's back from injury, so lack of big names. We don't have people that are particularly over, because obviously they all go to the main roster. We were getting carried for a long period of time, as you know, by Ace Austin, but sometimes you just need to light that fire to let them go to the main roster. But 13 million people watch the show, which is really good on the network, because the network is a massive size. Of course, the company is the second biggest in the world. It is a large company, although we're teetering a wee bit. We are on the brink of dropping back down, which is fair enough, but if I'd have kept Ace Austin for a long period of time, would have got there, but he deserved the main roster, and I wanted to go ahead with the Money in the Bank idea. But the last thing, because we've been blathering on, so you can see their broadcast revenue, 50 million last month, and we're 29 million, nearly 30 million already, and we're only halfway through the year, so we'll get a lot more out of that money. And as you see there, we get any profit, any loss to WWE, so that's why I'm happy to just fire in as much money to NXT as possible, because WWE will absorb it and we're pretty healthy. So that's us for this particular episode. Thanks very much for watching. You can see here next episode we're going extreme. We're going to the Raw branded Extreme Rules, and then we'll have SmackDown's No Mercy. So thanks again. This is the closest we're going to get to me having a live video from my save, as in I'm literally at this right point, right at this moment. No pre-booking ahead of hand, no backdating stuff. We are at this moment. Let's crack on and have a good second half to 2022. Take it easy. See you soon. Stay safe. Bye bye.